Hey guys, we are joined by not Haunted Temple Studios, 17-bit. We're joined by Jake, Ben, and Brute. Are you guys the original three? The original three who started, but now you guys have expanded a little bit.
We've expanded, but the three of us are the main developers, yeah.
But now you guys are 17-bit. You are no longer Haunted Temple Studios, but you're here to show us Skulls of Shogun, which we've seen before, but now you guys have it running on a Windows 8 tablet.
That's right.
And you have a mobile version as well. So why don't we at least start with how you guys arrived at, oh God, I made one version of this game, now let's make 3 of them.
It's a long story, but the short version is basically we were talking to the phone team and we kind of wanted to do an XBLA version really badly. That worked out, and then the Windows 8 stuff was kind of ramping up, and we already had a bunch of the touch interface stuff designed for the phone, and they wanted cool Windows 8 stuff, and so we managed to kind of make it happen. And we thought it'd be maybe a little bit less work than it turned out to actually be, but that's how it goes.
It's funny how stuff works out that way.
Yeah, it's funny how those things go. So 3 years later, yes, we're still developing this damn game, and everyone's tired of waiting for it.
It's coming out.
It's coming soon. Whoa. It's really like the surgery is done. We're sewing this thing up, and it's wiping the blood off soon.
All right, so let's dive in. Let's show us how this works. We've always seen it on XBLA, but
yeah, it's basically it's the exact same build. So it's just that the interface stuff is different. In fact, on the Windows 8 tablet, if you plug in an Xbox 360 pad, it operates just like the XBLA title.
Okay, because that's one thing. You guys were after the Surface announcement, like that was kind of a big deal that you guys be able to say, hey, we're coming out in all these things. You're going to be able to play this on your Surface, and you're able to play with the touch controls, but also plug in the controller. And
or a mouse and keyboard too. I mean, literally, you can concurrently have all 3 things plugged in and going. So
but
that was the question we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, even cooler now is we're finally being able to talk about the fact that you can play them on each of the devices. Like
right, so we'll be the first Microsoft title where you can play on the phone versus somebody on the Windows 8 versus somebody on Xbox.
So this is Skulls Anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're calling it Skulls Anywhere.
Jump into that. Skulls Anywhere.
I really enjoyed seeing there was some video out of PAX East where like Skulls Anywhere was in there and someone asked, "What is that?" It's like,
we're usually in a rush to put together our demo builds for that.
So I can go in and I can create games, customize how many.
You can, it's full, like up to 4 players, just like regular multiplayer, local multiplayer. You can play, 4 people asynchronously. The other cool thing is that you'll be able to, should you have multiple copies of the game, or copies of the game on different devices, you can just you can play a turn on your Xbox, play a turn on your Windows phone, play a turn on Windows 8, and continue playing wherever you are.
So all that stuff is just syncing in the cloud, seamlessly in the background.
In the cloud.
Yeah, and single player too. So you can be playing on the bus, you can play a couple missions on the bus, you get home, turn on your Xbox, and keep playing from there, which is cool.
Which is interesting for, usually when you see games cross multiple devices that, because it's, maybe like a hardcore shooter or a big budget RPG, like it can't just go onto a tablet or a phone just because it doesn't have the resources, whereas you guys have this sort of ambitious game, but the way it's designed means that it can actually function across these multiple devices.
We certainly weren't planning a 3-platform SKU when we started off the title. That was not part of it. But we were developing on PC, we were going for Xbox, we had the phone stuff going, and it all just sort of worked out. So these guys are playing, this is the Winter Blitz map. So it's the fastest maps we have. We've got sort of multiplayer maps that scale from real small kind of 5-10 minute things all the way up to like hour or 2 hour even mega epic matches. So we're sort of wanted to give a big scale there for, you can play any kind of game you want. We're calling these the Blitz maps. This is the winter one. There's one for each season. So these generally end in just a couple minutes, which is good because the whole goal of this game was to have fun with the strategy stuff as much as possible, but really bringing in the arcade element as much as possible. So it's really just it's meant to feel as much as possible like an arcade fighting game.
Right.
Most strategy games tend to be pretty heavy duty, lots of micromanagement and lots of reading and setting stuff up, and this is not Civilization or anything like that.
Well, I think the comparison that always kind of comes to mind is Advance Wars. Sure. Advance Wars is a game that a lot of people, myself included, even if you're not a big strategy buff, you still liked Advance Wars.
It's just
fun.
There
was something about it.
Yeah, and this is even further on the arcade scale than Advance Wars. There's still less menu stuff. There's no grid. You can only move 5 units at a time, so it's a much faster pace, especially for the multiplayer stuff, because we spent a lot of effort on making that social experience, like really quick play and being able to kind of bounce back and forth with your friends.
Was that 2 quarters on the screen? Did I just see 2 quarters on the screen?
Yeah. So that was, Ben went to, was it Fantastic Fest? in Austin last year, and they actually built us a custom arcade machine for Skulls of the Shogun.
Wow.
And so in the the placard thing up top, I designed the header up there, and I threw a couple quarters in there just because that's old school arcade stuff, which is, like I said, it's always been a huge inspiration for bringing a strategy game and matching that up with as much arcade action fighting as possible. So the whole aesthetic is really a core thing for me.
So how difficult was it to, because it's easy to understand like in your head when you play Skulls of the Shogun with a 360 controller, how that would map, but I have to imagine once you started getting up and running, you start to realize that there's probably a lot of nuance to make it feel right. It's not just as simple as just mapping it to your finger.
No, I mean, even the Xbox controls, we only locked them. I mean, we've literally been working on this for 3 years now. We only locked the controls down a couple months ago. Like, we've constantly been iterating. Constantly, we were always at the PAXs and the trade shows and stuff like that, and we're watching people play, and we're just constantly watching, where people are struggling and having a hard time, like, fixing that. And so this, again, was,
right. Like, I mean,
it's different, and it's different than even the phone, which we had going. Like
the touch interface. I mean, like at a high level, we kind of knew that it would work and had some idea of how to do it, but we spent most of the time really like niggly things, like, well, should this happen when you let your finger go or when you put your finger down first? And that means like if you put your finger down like near a couple things, which one should it prioritize? And then on the tablet, instead of like the phone, you kind of use your thumb to move. It's not really a thumbstick. It's actually kind of, you can like drag your finger and it kind of moves around, follows it. But a tablet, it's more like a gesture like that. So we spent a lot of time like on sort of niggly interface stuff, like really kind of getting it to where we wanted it to be. And actually supporting 3 different interfaces. But at least we started out from a good place of like, well, it should work.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things that makes sense when you think about it, but actually getting that to a polished state where you're happy with it is probably something a little else entirely.
It's cool. I'm a big console gamer. Like, I definitely XBLA probably I play more than anything else. So I've been really focused on the console controls. But lately, some of the guys at Microsoft, that have been playing it, some of the design guys over there that are our publishers, they're telling us that they think that the tablet version is actually the funnest to play. So that's great. I'm glad because I think the Xbox control is perfect, and this stuff is really coming along too. So basically, any way you want to play it, like I said too, you can play with the mouse and keyboard. Like, you can basically play any way you like, whatever was most comfortable for you.
And it's impressive too, because it just actually, I've really never seen a Windows 8 tablet, which you guys have this one running on, and just it's huge. Like, it's a much I have an iPad, but like the 16 by 9, like it's nice. It's a huge screen. It looks really, really nice.
It's nice for gaming. Like, this is going to be my sort of awesome kind of go-to mobile gaming device.
Right.
Especially because I can, as a core gamer, like I love the pad, so I can play all these PC games on this thing that I can just carry with me anywhere, which is really cool.
And so the thing with the Surface, though, is that there's like the RT and then there's the Probe, and you guys will be running on both of those,
on both,
right?
Yeah. So apparently some games won't be running. Some of the bigger kind of more meaty PC games won't be able to run on the ARM version, the RT one, but this will run on both, which is awesome. So we're hoping that it took us some extra time to do the Windows 8 version for sure. We would have shipped earlier. But we're hoping the trade-off is worth it, and being one of the first games in the App Store and really kind of taking advantage of all the cool new functionality, and being the first game that does the cross-play across platforms.
That was a chunk of the work. It wasn't just like getting up on Windows 8. It was really supporting like the cloud saves and asynchronous gameplay.
How much of a challenge was that? Again, like anything else, it's like, oh yeah, it's already built in, and the tools are there. Yeah,
it does it all. The real challenge was, Microsoft's working on this stuff like as we're working on the game, so we're not like working with finalized, code. We're working with stuff that's changing at the same time. So that was definitely a challenge, and like you just get like the networking side was definitely difficult. It took several months to kind of get over the humps, but now it's we're pretty happy with where it's at. We just gotta tie everything up.
And you guys are a small team, even though you've expanded from 3 to 5 as you've expanded platforms. That's still. It's not like you got an army.
Right, and Microsoft is doing stuff. They believe in this like technology, obviously just beyond our game, but they're doing stuff that we will use and take advantage of. Like, you'll get notifications on your Xbox for an async game. That's not something that happens now.
Right.
So getting that for us and
having to pound that through and getting support and everything. Like, it's been a lot of work. Like, it's definitely been a ton of work, way more than we reckoned for. But the upside is we've had more time to polish just the game in general, and like it's tuned. Most indie guys that are working on their first title, like they're freaking out for time and they're rushing, and stuff is shipping that probably isn't really quite done yet. Like, we're done with this game. It's polished.
You're physically,
we're happy with
emotionally, mentally done.
We're tuning
with
it
this
constantly.
game.
Yeah, I mean, like we've got 2 testers that are just like on it all the time. Like we've just tuned the crap out of the maps. Everything's really just where we want it to be. So I'm really happy with the final thing, and I think that'll pay off in the long run. That it really is finished and it's really polished. I mean, those are the kind of things you can't really go back on. So
yeah, well, all the extra time that you guys are spending on making it work on these other devices, making sure they're talking to each other correctly. It's not like, oh, we haven't fine-tuned this map. It's like we've been fine-tuning this map for like a year now.
Yeah.
Right,
Like
exactly.
we're like at our 5th packs now. Like I know which maps have issues. Like we're cleaning up all that stuff. Like there's really very little to be concerned about now, except for just finalizing it and getting it through test and getting it out ready for ship and launch.
How difficult is it, being a part of sort of this multi-platform launch where the tools aren't ready? Like I imagine that has to be, a bit of a struggle, especially because Windows Mobile, Windows 8. All that stuff is starting to get aligned together, but I'm sure that's got to be a lot of different moving parts. Where
they're all moving to that Windows 8 kernel,
some pieces are ahead of one another, but you guys are all trying to get your ducks in a row so that they all work together.
It's good. I mean, I'd never worked on a console launch title. Now I know that it is a complete pain in the butt. Yeah, I mean,
now you know why people don't do that.
Right,
after doing it.
But
and I worked on a PS3 launch title, and I kind of forgot too. Like, oh, that's right. This is hard.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
But you get all the benefits that come.
Yes.
There's a reason that
Yes.
people do
Yes.
that.
The flip side is like people are gonna all over the world. Like we have this thing localized into 10 languages. People all over the world are gonna pick it up, get a Windows 8 tablet, and be like, okay, cool, App Store, cool, what's there? Cool. Oh, this game is like right there. It looks great. It's getting good previews. I think hopefully it'll pay off for us.
So why don't we walk through a little bit of how exactly the touch controls translate? Because I'm pretty sure most people have seen the 360 game plenty of times now. So how do those controls actually end up mapping to how you control it on this game?
Ben, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, you can see right now I'm touching and dragging. I can do that anywhere on the screen. There's actually a few different ways you can control it. It's really, we try to provide a lot of different ways. So if you're more comfortable with one, it'll work. But so you can see I'm dragging around. I can see which guys are in my range here. If I want, actually, I can just double tap on objects in the environment and get to things that way. So support both of those. Let's see, I'm going to go up and attack this guy here. I can use the buttons in the corner.
Yeah, or tap the target as well, depending on
Yeah, exactly.
whatever you
I could have double tapped him. Let's see, this guy's probably not close enough. So I can double tap to activate units. Let's go down here. Not quite close enough, so cancel that. Button there. What do I got left? Oh, I'm not doing so good. You're beating me.
Yes.
So you guys are both playing on tablets
Yeah.
right now, but you could set this up so that Jake's holding the phone version right now. He could be playing with you guys.
Yeah, we could be playing as 3 players.
And you can play remote, like this, or you could all just pass and play too. We support local multiplayer.
So yeah, I just took my turn. He's going to receive that now. And while I'm waiting for him to play on that match, I'm going to play a different match.
Oh, so while you were waiting for that turn to come back, even though you're playing that out in real time, in quotes, you can go and participate in another match with a friend.
Yep.
And then you'll get a notification, hey, you can go back and finish up the next turn.
Yeah, so you
Exactly.
can have lots of play. You can have a ton of games going at the same time.
Yeah.
We're still finalizing that now. At least 10. Possibly more.
In each case, you can. That's all contingent on you could have one Xbox Live, one PC, one mobile. None of that stuff matters.
Right.
How the game is set up. Does it identify? Do you have any way of knowing what someone's playing it on? Is there any way to?
Yes, although it's not really shown to you. Don't know
Right,
as the
sure.
player. Yeah.
But somewhere in a spreadsheet
Yes,
that is being
yes.
tracked.
In a database, there's actually several databases that all manage that fun stuff.
Have you guys thought about that at all? About how the game, it's the same game, but how that might change as different audiences are attracted to different devices. You might not necessarily have people buying all 3 versions of the game to play on different devices. You'll have different audiences that end up getting attracted to a different one.
Well, yeah, I think the async stuff is really appealing for a mobile device where you want to play for a couple minutes, put it down and
Right,
get
you're
back to it
commuting
later.
or something like that.
Where on XBLA, obviously, going on XBLA, online and playing with your friends in real time is going to be a very different sort of experience than the async stuff. But then we've got everything in between too. So it really, you can pick how you want to play, or you can be doing multiple stuff. You could be playing the campaign and jump out and have a turn with your friend and jump back into the campaign, whatever you want to do.
Right, and I mean, it's worth noting, since we've been showing like Skulls Anywhere, the Xbox has real-time online multiplayer, but the phone and the Windows 8 just have Skulls Anywhere. So additionally, you can play online in real time,
right,
party game style mode with time limits and all that.
Do you get the same sort of menu screen on the 360 one when you are playing with like a different device? Like, so you'll get like the async sort of like.
If you're playing, what do you mean? If you're
you're playing on 360, playing against someone that's playing on the mobile device, like.
Right. If you're playing Skulls Anywhere, yeah, it's the same interface exactly. Okay. Pretty much, you can swipe on the tablets to change new games.
Will you able to, when you're playing on the phone, will the async operate over like the data network, or is this kind of exclusively something on Wi-Fi?
No, it should be. It should work over 3G. Yeah.
How is it? I mean, Jake, for you, like, I think it's pretty interesting. Like, having known you for a number of years, like, this is your baby, but there definitely seems to be like this tension of like, you want to get this baby out the door.
I understand what my wife went through at this point. 2 children, like, you love them dearly. It's an amazing experience, but at some point you're like, get this bitch out, like, just get it out.
Well, because you've switched to 17-bit, and you've talked a little bit how you want to go forward. You want to make some smaller games. You don't want to have again this 3-year experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was never planned. I mean, when Bert and I started this in the summer of 2009. We were thinking it was going to be like a 6-month iPhone game or something, and then he's being a big PC guy. He's like, I don't want to work on this Mac stuff. He's like, let's do it for Xbox. It's like, man, I love Xbox. Sure, let's do it. But, we were still thinking very small scale, and it just kept getting bigger and better. I mean, look what it's grown into. I'm super happy, super stoked. It's going to be a way more successful title, I think, than a little game would have been. So there's that, and it's been an amazing process, and we've learned so much. I mean, all of us have been, in AAA development for a long time. Moving to this, you're like, oh, we got this covered. Like, we're game developers, we got all the skills, no problem. But like, dude, there's so much more to it, man. It's just like a whole other world of stuff to deal with. And a tiny team, just like there's so many things that need to get done, and we're just constantly working on it. But yeah, it's been awesome. But we are all looking forward to finishing it at some point. Like, I want people to get out. Like, everyone that plays it loves it. I want it to get out. I want to see what,
And the same people come and play it every year at PAX and then ask you, when is this coming out?
Why isn't this out yet? I love this game. What's wrong with you guys?
Jake, I'm convinced you're a liar at this point. Coming soon does not mean
we're
3 years later.
We're just masochists. We want people to keep telling us they want to give us their money.
It's just an ego
we
boost
just want to be like,
every time.
Yeah, we don't really want your cash.
It's passive aggressive, like, yeah.
No, it'll be good to get this out, and I think the Windows 8 launch. This is kind of a big step for Microsoft. I think it's a big change. This tablet stuff. I was really impressed with the Surface stuff. I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a hit, and being a part of this big wave of excitement stuff really worked out well for us. So.
Well, it's nice because that's always the problem with launches is that there's content, but it's not necessarily great content at launch, and you guys by just the nature of the way development's gone are coming in with a game that is very full featured, has a huge campaign, has a bunch of multiplayer, and is multi-platform. and so you have people that if they decide to jump in on this, there's going to be something big and beefy for them on day one, as opposed to sort of a half-filled design that was like compromised just to get out at launch.
Right. That's where we just got lucky. This is just plain luck.
Yeah, it was like the barest glimmer in our minds that since it was it's a few months before Microsoft even announced the Windows 7 phone. And we were like, we'll bet Microsoft makes a phone. Like, this game would go well on that. Maybe that will work out, And then it just sort of escalated at,
Yeah,
the snowball got bigger.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Jake about those ambitions years ago, and it's like, okay, dude, just ship the game. Right? that's what you have game 2 and 3 for, and it's almost like for you guys, like game 2 and 3 just all kind of rolled into game 1 in terms of how a studio normally scales up to accommodate all the other stuff. So. Congratulations. That's not the way you would probably recommend someone else doing it, but it seems to have worked out.
Right? Like, we never would have predicted it would have been 3 years later. We're launching on 3 titles. We got this new hardware.
Yeah, sim shipping 3 platforms.
Yeah, which is just, it is insane. Finishing this game as an Xbox title with just a couple guys is like a whole crazy party in its own. But then you tack on 2 additional hardwares with their own needs and different kinds of networking.
Yeah,
and
their
all
own.
this stuff.
Every platform has its kind of certification requirements to get out the door, and there's 3 versions of that list now.
And you know, we'll change something in the input, and they're like, oh wait, we got to go change it 2 more times, and those are both going to have their own dominoes to start falling in different directions. Like, you know, just keeping everything alive in one place has been a real challenge.
All right. Well, what can you tell people about when this is finally going to come out? Can we get anywhere closer than just coming soon?
Coming soon.
This year.
We're trying to launch with the Windows 8 launch.
Okay.
It should be, you know, a shipping with the Windows 8 launch.
So as that stuff comes together,
right.
Yeah,
we don't know what that
start
is.
to draw a line, and that
Yeah.
Skulls of the Shogun is moving along with that.
Yeah,
Right?
we don't know what that is. They're not telling us. I don't even know if they know.
Right.
I mean, they keep saying fall, you know, so that's, you know, whatever that means. There's a pretty wide range of months that could take place. You know, we're hoping it's as soon as possible. We've still got, you know, a good couple of months of just the final cert stuff and all the bug checks and all that kind of stuff. But we're hoping to be there, if not on day one, like, you know, real close.
So either way, as all the Windows 8 stuff comes together, you guys will be alongside that. All 3 versions launching at the same time, or at least that's the plan.
Within days, I hope. Yeah, I mean, imagine. I mean, I don't know if it'll be like actually the same day because.
Well, I mean, the XBLA stuff only launches once a week, right? Like,
right.
And so Windows 8 might ship the next day or the day before or whatever. So, but it should
launch
be right
window.
Yes.
Launch window. That's the term.
Exactly.
But Windows is a big term. Like when they say Windows, like, oh, a couple of months. Like, no, it'll be like launch window week sort of thing.
Cool. Well, guys, thanks for coming by again. Sounds like you guys are finally the finish line is actually within reach. So good luck as you guys make it to the end of finally finishing Skulls of the Shogun.
Cool. Well, thanks for giving us a chance to show this off, and
a
we're happy to, you know, talk about this stuff that we've been sitting on for a long time. So
awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.